Welcome to the Heart of the Matter. On today's episode, we'll be talking about nation building. And with us is our very special guest, Mr. Fela Durotoye. You're welcome to the Heart of the Matter.
Thank you so much, Pastor Wale. It's great to be on the Heart of the Matter.
Now, Mr. Durotoye is the founder and CEO of Gemstone Nation Builders Foundation. And he's also a very successful consultant. Now, Fela, the first question one would ask is, how come somebody who's got a thriving, successful nation, consulting career goes into nation building, which is selfless, sacrificial work?
Almost full-time.
Full-time.
Well, I think that it's both come out of not only a divine word, but also clear necessity for me. And I would explain to you very briefly what I mean. I was doing my business, just running my business, doing my thing, just living good, doing well, I call it. Running my consulting firm a few years ago, 2004, when at that time my office was in a block of flats, okay? So the flat on top was my house, and at the bottom was my office. And I felt around 2 p.m. a very strong urge to go and pray. And this was on November 23, 2004. So I yielded to that urge, And when I got into my room, I literally came into the presence of God. And once I got in there, I just started to worship, and then God started to speak to me. And one of the things that he did was that he actually ran me through, at that time, what I didn't realize, the way he was saying it, I didn't realize it was the second stanza of the national anthem. He said to me, do I still answer prayers? I said, yes. He said, what will happen if I were to give you as a people a noble cause? He said, do you know what a noble cause is? I said, no. He said, well, a noble cause is something that you live for that will continue to live after you have left. I thought, wow. And then he ran me through, if I gave you good guidance and all your leaders good guidance, would you have corruption in the land? And I said, no. He said, would you have failed businesses? I said, no. He said, would you have children born out of wedlock? I said, no. And he took each and every one, time does not permit me, he took each line of that, but he didn't say, help, I use the truth to know. So I didn't know that was where he was going. I knew the anthem, but I never thought of it as a prayer. And he said to me, do you realize what will happen if I were to answer that prayer? I said, Lord, that will be heaven on earth, that kind of nation. He said to me, do you recognize it? And I said, no. He says, that's the second stanza of the national anthem. So I thought, wow. He said, now, why, if I answer prayers, why haven't I answered it? And I didn't know the answer. He said, because you're not praying. And even when you, as a people, do not pray, you are not acting in line with a prayer. So there's no faith to back up and the works to back it up. And he said to me, pick up your pen and write this down. And I wrote down, it was 10 minutes past 2 p.m. And he said to me, on November 23, 2004, he said, by December 31, 2025, Nigeria will be undoubtedly the world's most desirable nation to live in.
Let's have that one more time, because
he said to me on November 23, 2004, he said, by December 31, 2025, Nigeria will be undoubtedly the world's most desirable nation to live in.
More desirable than the United States of America, than the United
in a sense,
Kingdom, France,
sir, and you can imagine, even at that time, it seemed absolutely ludicrous. So I said, amen, no. And that amen was the amen of Sarah. It was an amen loaded with unbelief. But I heard him speak with a very stern voice, and he said to me, I do not pray. Who will I pray to? And he said to me, my son, I'm not a prophet. I speak through prophets, but I'm not a prophet. By this time, I was really now, I was more serious about my stance. And he said to me, your past, your present, and your future are all in my present. He said, that's why I am that I am, not I was when I used to be. I said, wow. Then he says to me, he says, when I speak to you about 2025, I'm telling you what I have already done, but which you may see. I'm not telling you what I'm going to do. So I said, what would you have me do? He said, go and build me the people that will build the nation. A few months later, I was having a meeting with two gentlemen, and at one point, I just could see their mouth moving. One of them was speaking, and I could see his mouth moving, but I couldn't hear a thing. For a brief moment, I actually thought that I had lost my hearing. And I heard Gemstone. So what's Gemstone? It says, go and build me a generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate with natural excellence. He said that generation of leaders will build Nigeria into a most desirable nation to live in, will shape Africa and shake the world, for me, positively. Cut the long story short.
Let me just cut in there.
Yes.
Here is a huge, humongous vision. And here you are, one person. Did you feel, no, Lord, you must be talking to somebody else? Could this be me?
I definitely did, Pastor Wale. I mean, I said, what would you have me do? He says, go and get them to accept the vision, believe in it, commit their time, their energy, and their resources to do something. Well, my first reaction was, okay, no problem. I will do the bit that I can. I'm sure you're probably talking to a lot of people. And so anytime I went for a training, a retreat, and my consulting work, at the end of my, whatever I was doing, 2 days, sometimes 3 days program, I would slip in this 3 minutes, 4 minutes of, look, you know what, guys, there's a great Nigeria that is going to be built to. And I was surprised by the way people would respond time and time and time again. Nobody ever said to me, Fela, are you crazy? What do you think? Everybody said to me, look, Fela, we want to see it come to pass. And then when I say, would you be a Gemstone? They say, yes, I'll be a Gemstone ambassador. So I thought, what's this? Over time, I came to a sensing, and God sent a gentleman to me one day and said, you know, Fela, you can make as much money as you want, and the devil will never try to stop you. He said, but when you get to heaven, I'm only going to ask you, how is Nigeria? Mm-hmm. That, Pastor Wale, was pretty much the Rubicon for me, because I got to realize that my purpose had changed from just being a corporate institution builder, and that really my purpose was now for nation building. But the problem, sir, was that here is this renowned corporate institution builder, this guy who everybody, you know, my calendar was always jam-packed, always full. I didn't have enough time to be able to give to all the clients. So, sir, I think that, again, the summary of my answer is it was first a call, and more importantly, I've also realized that it is my purpose.
Okay, so now you are not doing as much consulting.
I don't propose for consulting jobs anymore. They still do come to me, but my focus and my total focus is on nation building.
So that is a sacrifice for you. You are now a full-time nation builder.
And I consider it a ministry, sir. It is almost like a full-time ministry work.
So how does Gemstone Nation Builders actually survive?
Well, again, like I said, this is one of the things. You know, when God sends you on a mission, he never sends you broke. So every time we've had a need, some client is going to call me and say to me, Fela, we need you to come and do something. And, you know, we've been looking for you. And, you know, and the next thing they would ask me to come, and they would pay me handsomely well. And we would take literally all that money and put it into it. But I realized something, that was a time of testing to see how I would be faithful in the little. Now that Gemstone is growing significantly, all of a sudden we are beginning to get partners who are the ones coming to us and saying, hey, you're doing such amazing work with nation building. Can we partner with you? And so you would see Airtel, for instance, is partnering with us in going to campuses across Nigeria and taking this message of a new Nigeria, a new value system, and all of that into it. We just came back from Ahmadu Bello University. First Bank came with us on that. And in a sense, they literally reached out to us. You know, and ARM, for instance, has just come to us a few days ago and said, look, we really want to partner with you. So what I'm saying is that now I'm seeing a shift. I'm seeing that with the size of the vision growing, all of a sudden, God now wants to fund it by a larger purse than what I can probably carry myself.
So, nation building. What is nation building all about? I mean, is Nigeria a nation? You know.
Well, sir, I would say it this way. Nigeria is a country. We are hoping that our generation can transform Nigeria into a nation.
What's the difference?
Okay, good. I'm glad you asked me. Countries are essentially landmass. There are borders and bridges. There are buildings and things, just things that have to do with the land. Nations are different. Nations have to do with people. And even in the scriptures, you can see some kind of quick tip about how God said, Abraham, I will make you, person, a great nation, and I will give you land. So land is what I will give to you, but person is what I will build of you. And so in a sense, nations are built, lands are just available. You will find out that there are nations that didn't even have lands of their own for a while. The Jewish nation, for instance, until 1948 was displaced and they didn't have a nation or a land of theirs. And today we see Kurdistan that, is a people, but they don't have a country called, and yet they are recognized as the Kurdish people and Kurdistan. So they are a nation without a country. You see Tibet. Tibet is a nation, they are the Tibetans, but they don't have a country of their own. They are scattered in India and China. So what you see there is a difference between a nation. But I'll tell you what is special about nations, especially effective ones. Nations are people who may come from different backgrounds, different tribes, different tongues, different religions, different gender, even different age groups. But one thing about nations is that they have three things in common. Number one, they have a common sense of purpose, meaning they kind of like believe that there is a reason to our existence and why we're alive. Number two, they have a vision, a picture of mission accomplished, that by the time we're done with what we're doing, this is what it will result to. And number three, they have a common sense of shared values. Now, it's on those premises that I said that Nigeria is a country. Hopefully, by the grace of God, our generation will transform it into a nation. Because if you asked many Nigerians today, what is the vision for Nigeria? Most of them will not be able to share that vision with you. Number two, if you ask them, what is the purpose for which we are all in existence today, they might give you different answers. And number three, if you ask them, what are the values that we share as Nigerians, they probably can't tell you. But luckily for us, by the voice of God, we have received a vision, we have received a purpose, and we have received a set of shared values.
Well, we're going to come back and talk about this some more. Viewers, stay tuned to The Heart of the Matter. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to The Heart of the Matter, where we're talking about nation building with Mr. Fela Durotoye. Fela, you're just talking about the things that make a nation, and you talked about shared vision, shared purpose, and shared values. Now, how can you and Gemstone and everybody else who is involved or who wants to be involved in building a nation, how can they make their own contribution to it?
Well, I think the first thing is by understanding the process of national transformation. Because I think that's the first contribution you have to make. You have to make a decision to understand that nations are built by nation builders. And nation builders are usually people who have four things in common. I call them ABCD. Right? A nation builder accepts, that's A, the responsibility for the well-being of his nation or her nation. B, a nation builder believes in the greatness and the capacity for their generation to be able to build and release and realize that vision. Now, C, a nation builder commits their time, their energy, their resources, and everything that they have to be able to do something to deliver the future. And it's more than just a rhyme of ABCD. It's really, truly, and I can see it all in my life. And so the first thing that you want to do if you ever want to be a part of this whole thing about transforming Nigeria is, first of all, you have to make up your mind to be not just a citizen, but a nation builder. To be an effective nation builder, you must know how nations are built. And therefore, getting a knowledge, being trained, and we do have free trainings that teach on nation building and even help to teach you how to teach others on nation building. So we do have free training, so that you've got to be trained on it. You have to understand, because nation building takes place through four quick stages that I can talk to you about. And therefore, you'll find out that national transformation is not an activity, it's not an agenda, it's a result.
Okay. there's a lot of cynical people out there who have lived in Nigeria for years and they just feel nothing changes. You know, we just go through it. What would you tell those people about nation building? How can you get them to have a real...
I would say very quickly, it is true, nothing changes until you change it.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Nations are like houses. They are built. And also they are inherited. So sometimes you can inherit a house that has been run down, depending on how your parents and all the people that had lived in that house before, how they used up the house and how they handed it over to you. However, whilst you may not be responsible for the quality of the house that you inherited from your parents, you will be held accountable and responsible for the quality of house you give to your children. So when you inherit a house, even if it's in a bad state, it's your responsibility to fix it. And we must understand that looking at Nigeria in its decadent state is of no benefit to anybody, but building a nation is the greatest economic opportunity that anyone can have. We found out that the values that we need to build a most desirable nation are 10 in number. And I'm just going to run through them. They are the new Nigerian values. Number one, if you're going to be a new Nigerian, you must make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing. It works out.
But you've got to learn a bit more
about
how to do it.
Absolutely. And we do have a training program, and I'm blessed to also announce that you opened your house, the Guiding Light Assembly to us yesterday, and we had quite a few hundred people come in to this into Guiding Light, and we were able to train on the 10 values. So thank you very much for that, sir. The second thing is that you must be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. Okay? So if I drop something on the road, I've created a problem. If I picked it up or I didn't drop it, then maybe I'm a solution provider. Number 3, you must be a role model worthy of emulation. Number 4, you must be your best in all you do. You may not be the best, because sometimes even your best, somebody else may be better than you. So you don't need to bring anybody down because you want to be the best. But just be your best in all you do, particularly the things you are naturally good at. So find what you're naturally good at. Don't copy anybody else. Just be your best. Number 5, do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing. So it doesn't matter how many people are doing it. I mean, everybody's collecting bribe. Decide that you will not. Everybody's going past the red traffic light. Decide you will not. And no matter how many people are hurrying behind you, you decide, I'm a nation builder. I will do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing. The remaining 5 are very swift. Number 6, value time and make the best use of it. So hopefully,
African time
will mean on time, sir. Yes. Hopefully, all right. When we have more nation builders. Number 7, you must care and show respect through your words and your actions. And you know, to care, Pastor Wale, simply means that you show concern about the well-being of a thing, a place, or a person. So Nigerians, we have an I don't care mentality. I don't care about where I work. I don't care about my own car. I don't care about my clothes. I don't care about my shoes. So we use things and destroy things. We destroy so much value. People buy cars that are 10 years old, call their families and friends to come and celebrate their Tokumbo car. 10 months later, they cannot even sell the car because they bashed it, they've used it up. And in that case, they consume so much value and destroy so much value. But if you care and show respect, and by showing respect, you're simply saying you're bestowing honor on other people, regardless of who they are, whether they're young or old. Respect is no respecter of age, of status, or anything. The 8th one is consciously build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day. What that means is very simple. In other words, remember that whatever you say, whatever you do, your decisions will, in a sense, be what people will remember you by. Your results will be. And so, in the end, wherever you've gone, you will build a reputation and a legacy there. The question is, will your name be a key or a padlock to the people who are coming behind you with your name? If you have done badly in that place, your name locks up the doors of opportunity to the people who have your kind of, your name, you know? And if you have done very well, then your name opens doors. Even though you've left, you can always call back and say, hey guys, I have somebody that I want to introduce you to. They will hire the person. The 9th one is live a life of integrity and honor. And in a sense, it's just saying, don't do anything you don't want anybody else to discover. Let your words, let your yes be yes, your no be no. Don't do anything, don't put any secret or burden of secrecy on anybody. I won't tell Pastor Wale something about another person that I don't want Pastor Wale to tell the person. That's not integrity. So when I speak, you can count on my word. The last one is that you must, to be a new Nigerian, you must make your family, your nation, and your God proud. So it's not enough to be able to say, well, I stole money and I gave it and I made, so now that we have a house in London, my family is happy. Well, is your nation proud of you for stealing money? Is your God proud of you? Because it is true that God does say, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. So we know that God expresses pride in his own children. So the question is, to be a new Nigerian, you have to know that these are the values, and then you must be the one to say, I will be the example of the new Nigeria that I want to see.
Now, is there any way, because you can get lots of people that will say, I like those values, yeah. I'm signing up to them. Absolutely. Is there any way of monitoring people to ensure that they actually are living up to the value? Or, I don't want to use the word sanction, or just, being able to say you can't really be a new Nigerian and be doing this?
Absolutely. And the first thing that we do is that when you do come into Gemstone, we actually do have a very strong support system to help you and support you through the transition that would lead to that transformation. It's not easy. Pastor Wale, sometimes, you're talking a 40-year-old man or 50-year-old man, knows that these are the values I want to live by, but sometimes it's not always, there are habits that we formed over time based on who we used to be. So we know that there's a transition. However, there is a very strong disciplinary system that comes when someone who is an acclaimed nation builder or Gemstone ambassador, as we sometimes call them, is reported to us. So if a particular petition was written against someone, and we have had something like that happen before, we have a process through which we will actually investigate that petition. We will bring it to the notice of the nation builder, investigate, and should we find out that there are things that need to be done that should have been done, some of those things had been done before that person even made up their mind to be a nation builder, if you know what I mean. So, but the point is that there is a sanction and more importantly, a support system. That's the most important one. That we make sure that they come into what we call chapters, right? And in those chapters, for instance, every week they get reminded about their values. We send them quotations, we send them beautiful pictures that really just remind you of your values. And then every month, the nation builders come together every third Saturday of the month, and they have what is called chapter meetings, where they go through training, and that training is on personal mastery, which is personal leadership, as well as project management. Because you cannot be a nation builder just by words. You have to have action to back up your words. So we train you on how to be a better person and how to run projects effectively. So
I was going to say, what is the importance of people signing up to shared values?
Well, I think that signing up point is a very conscious decision, where you kind of like, when you sign, you know that you have put evidence to a desire. The desire to live those values is good. But when you now go out and sign up, you can't unsign. You know what I mean? Now you've created for yourself a situation where you want to hold yourself accountable for those values. So one of the things that we tell people to do is when they do sign, we then give them a card that reminds them of the values. And then we ask them to recite that card or the creed on the card at least twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, for about 21 days and keep on reciting it. But more importantly, we ask them to share the values. Now, Pastor Wale, this is what that does. Because when I sign up to a set of values and then I go home and I tell my wife, these are now my values, the moment I violate those values, your wife would remember exactly what you said. She say, oh, is this how you are going to? And then you find out you have to say, oh, I'm so sorry. And that's how the transition takes place. So I think that signing is important. It brings consciousness to your decision. It brings accountability. It makes that decision real. But beyond that, also, by signing, you come onto our database. We continue to support your system. But we always advise all those who have signed up to the values, whether it's online or in paper, whether in person, please share the word. If you share it, you will be more accountable to the people around you who know your values. Let me quickly say one last thing, sir. You know that, in a sense, every crisis in a relationship is a values crisis, sir.
Okay.
Because you said something that I recollect. You said your values are the things you value. And in a sense, every time you see two people who have some kind of crisis, if you go to the heart of the matter,
yes.
not necessarily but if you go to the heart of the matter, you will find out that one person violated the values of another. In other words, what was important to one person was not as important to the other. And so the one person did something that was considered wrong by another one, but maybe the other one didn't see the need to apologize. So in a sense, one of the things that we always ask is, when you sign up to the values, share it within your personal space. Otherwise, the people in your personal space will violate you if you don't share it, and it will lead to some kind of personal crisis, which we do not want. So when we advise all married people, when you go, you connect with these values, the first thing you need to do, go to your spouse, share it. We have sometimes we give out 2 value cards in just, to a married person and say, look, take this, share it with your husband, share it with your wife. We also ask them to share it with their children.
How long will it take to get from the stage of getting nation builders together to the stage of developing roadmaps for the numerous sectors?
Okay. We have, and I think that maybe that's why God used a consultant to drive this process. We have actually started the work, and we are, by our planning, expecting to present with Nigerians, not just to Nigerians, but with Nigerians, a roadmap by the 1st of October. Now, it sounds like a tall idea, but you have to remember, sir, that it doesn't have to be a perfect roadmap. Because sometimes all we need to do is to know what to do next. It doesn't have, so we will keep going. But the first thing is, let us even start. We are going to a new Nigeria by 2025. We cannot go into what you call analysis paralysis. That sometimes you have to say until you have perfected it before. People don't need perfection. We don't need to have a perfect house to be able to start buying land. Let us go and start doing the work first. This is the generation of transformation. And if you're alive at this time, it's for a reason. It's because there is a word over Nigeria, and if you can go and pray, you will find out that the word is true. The next thing, however, is that you must be a part of this. You must join hands with other nation builders, because nations are built like houses. Houses are built by carpenters, they're built by masons, bricklayers, and all of that. Nations are built by nation builders.
Thank you very much, Fela, for being such a vibrant guest and for coming with such an important, let me call it a project. Okay. Viewers, we'll be back again next week with another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Until then, stay blessed.